Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build and another base game home. I literally can't stop. I don't know what the heck has gotten into me, but I have been loving building with base game recently, and this build in particular, I don't even remember where this suggestion came in. I don't know if it was a comment on another video or in my Discord or what, but someone said that I should try to do a base game farmhouse. So that is exactly what we are doing today, and I love the way that this farmhouse came out. It is, in my opinion, so super cute. I love the shape. I love how much I was able to add detail-wise to like the rest of the lot. The backyard, there's a barn as well as two little greenhouses, which I think are so adorable. And I really liked being able to use the green swatch of these windows and doors and stairs. I mentioned in one of my other base game builds that I've been trying to bring in more of the colorful swatches of base game items compared to the neutrals, because I gravitate towards neutrals, so I wanted to use more color. And I thought this was also a great opportunity to do that, to kind of give it just a little bit of a pop instead of white trim and stuff like that, which I added to like the spindles and the actual roof trims, and the rest of the build has like white trim, but I used the green windows, doors, and stairs, and I think they look so good. And I thought it was so appropriate for a farmhouse too, because I'm thinking like having greenhouses and plants of all different kinds, vegetables. I don't know, the color green comes to mind, so that's what we ended up going for. And this farmhouse does have only 2 bedrooms. However, there are 2 rooms that have different functions. So I think there's an office as well as, I want to say, an art studio, if my memory is serving me correctly. It's been a little while since I built this. So those rooms could easily be turned into more bedrooms if you had more Sims, if you had like a bigger family. But it also has, I believe, 3 bathrooms, which is really nice. If not 3, there's at least 2, because I know there's one downstairs and then there's one upstairs. Yeah, there's actually 2. And they are full bathrooms, so your Sims can't go to the bathroom and shower in either of those bathrooms. But I am working on the landscaping right now, trying to figure out the couple of plants that I wanted to use throughout the entire build. And then I end up fleshing out pretty much a majority of the yard prior to getting onto the interior. I do somewhat quote-unquote furnish the barn off camera, because all I do is get hay bales from the debug menu and kind of stack them in there. And I also grab, I want to say no, not the woodworking table. So we're kind of limited on activities with base game, as you all know, but I do put the woodworking table, I think, in one of the greenhouses. The barn is honestly not very functional. However, I have been using this build ever since I made it for my current off-camera legacy. And I love this legacy so freaking much. I'm starting with a plant sim. I don't know why, I just really wanted to play with the plant sim. And I got a mod that prevents the effects of eating that plant sim fruit, right? The forbidden fruit, I think is what it is. It prevents it from ever wearing off, because I wish that the plant sims were a permanent life stage or a cult in some way, shape, or form, and they are not. They were, I think, in the other iterations of the game, so Sims 2 and 3, but I was so bummed to learn that they aren't a permanent life stage in The Sims 4. I just never even explored them before. So I went ahead and I actually exported a bit, and this mod makes it so the effects don't wear off. So I have a permanent plant sim, which is both good and bad. But anyway, this is actually her home. I won't spoil this legacy because I'm actually highlighting all of the generations over on my Tumblr. Weird, I haven't even mentioned Tumblr before, but yeah, I have a Tumblr and I'm trying to document their legacy and progress over there. So I'm not going to spoil it, but she lives here, and it is just perfect for her because she loves gardening and she loves taking care of her bees and her little grubs, and she likes flower arranging and juice fizzing and all of those fun activities. But of course we don't have those in base game, so I think there's just the woodworking table out in one of the greenhouses. And for gameplay, I put the flower arranging station and the fizzing station in the barn to try to, make it functional. That's also where a wedding occurs, so I kind of redid it for a wedding, which made me so excited. But I am trying to flesh out a few different pathways here. It was a little bit challenging. I like the pathways to look really even, and I wasn't really using the brush tool very well, to be frank, so they kind of look a little bit odd to me, and I think I go over them again at another point with a different kind of terrain paint, because this one is actually technically sand. I think I ended up using one of the garden ones, so it's a little bit darker soil, but not the super dark soil that I put underneath the landscaping that I do, so if that makes any sense. And then I tried to decorate it just a little bit because otherwise this barn just looked honestly a little bit barren, but I put some lights out there and there's like the little cart with the flowers, and then I continue on with the landscaping around different sections of the build. I've been trying to get better about not completely outlining a house with landscaping too. So I tried to be a little bit more selective as to where I put these groupings of plants and stuff like that. But I also put a fence around the entire plot too, which I thought was nice. And that actually allowed me to put a few more groupings of plants around different areas near the fence. And I think it looks really pretty. I'm like really proud of this build, and the more I've played in it with an actual family, I've seen how functional it is. I've seen how much I absolutely love it. I'm obsessed with it. I love farmhouses to begin with, but I really didn't think I'd be able to do a base game farmhouse. And if I did, I didn't know if I'd really make it that wonderful, but I think this is one of my better builds. So I just really look forward to hearing what you guys think about this and if you actually end up liking it. And if you do download it, I love seeing screenshots of your Sims in my build. It's like one of my favorite things ever. So don't hesitate to share any screenshots with me on Twitter, or if you join my Discord, you can post them in there. Whatever you want to do. I'm just all jittery. I love this build so much. And honestly, there's only so much I can do to talk about the landscaping. So we are actually moving on to the greenhouses. So I use the glass roof to actually make these greenhouses. And basically you just kind of put floor tiles down, you put the roofs down. However, you do have to be very careful about placing objects inside of the greenhouses then, because once they're in there, you can't put the roof down. Do you know what I mean? Like you can put the walls down, but you can't put the roof down. So it was a little bit challenging, but I also grabbed this truck from the debug menu, and then I grabbed some hanging plants, which I do off camera, but basically I hang them on the porch. And I furnished all of the greenhouses off camera too, just FYI, because they did take a little while, but they were really fun. And then we end up moving on to the interior, which is very simple. It's not as cluttered as I would typically make my builds, but I think that's because I used a wallpaper that had kind of like a plant detail to it and some paneling. So that brought a little bit of noise, I think, to the build itself and added some character. And as odd as it is to say, I think a lot of the base game chairs and tables and stuff have a lot of different wood details to them, not just like swatches, but there's different wood details to them that make them a little bit prettier too. They make them a little bit more, or a little bit less bland, I should say. I don't know. I'm going to get off that train of thought. But now I'm working on the kitchen. So I did use these kind of more so rustic or even industrial looking counters. I thought they worked really nicely for this kind of build. What's really nice too is that I don't think everything is super matchy, and I'm getting more and more comfortable doing that. So I was excited to kind of try it out in this build too. I think the living room is kind of matchy, and maybe even the bedroom a little bit, but the kitchen is honestly just kind of mismatchy. And then the dining room's kind of nice. Why am I talking about specific rooms? You're going to see them all anyway, but yeah, I really liked the kitchen. There is kind of this smaller island with the sink. Now, the only thing that you may have to change, because I completely forgot to do it before I uploaded this to the gallery, but that little countertop right near the trash can, that's like a little end piece, and it wasn't big enough, oddly enough, for your Sims to prepare any meals on. So technically there isn't an open counter, which is so weird because the Sims can make food on a corner counter, which in my head is less space than this end piece. So I don't really understand it, but I did have to swap that out when I was playing with it. But I completely forgot that I had already saved a lot to my library to upload, and I didn't get to fix it. So you guys might have to fix that. And now I'm just pulling things out of the debug menu that I might potentially use. I ended up not using a lot of those items, but I do take that broom and I used the tool mod to actually make it look as though it was leaning against the wall, which I thought was a really nice element to add because we don't have anything like that with base game. I think the first time we got like a broom and dustpan that would be a wall decoration was with Laundry Day, and that's a stuff pack. And we also got the ability to put some of the brooms from Realm of Magic, and they kind of clip to the wall, but those have a different purpose, obviously. They actually have function to them. So I don't know, it was just kind of nice to grab one from the debug menu and toss it up there. And then I work on this little entryway, which again, I was kind of hesitant. I was almost trying to match the green color throughout the interior. I had felt the urge to do that, but I ended up not doing that, so I'm kind of proud of myself. But there's like a chair over here near the entryway, a coat rack, a mirror, and then there's actually a small little breakfast table I was unsure about this because right through that archway, you can see the dining room table. I thought it was a little bit odd to have two places to sit so close to each other, but it actually kind of worked. So what I've been doing in gameplay is in the morning, the whole family sits down for breakfast just at the little breakfast table. It's like a small little round table. And then for Harvest Fest and Winterfest and even Bunny Day, as I called it in the game, this is where they have their big grand meals with their friends and family. And it worked so well because that's exactly how my house was. Like, we had our kitchen and we had a little bar, and that was where we would have breakfast. Like, it was a little breakfast bar. And then when we actually had family over for holidays or bigger meals, more formal meals, we would go into the dining room. So I thought it was actually really nice after I kind of fleshed it out a bit. And the dining room is very simple. It's very clean. I think it's very pretty personally. There was also a lot of artwork that I ended up repeating because I really didn't want to start using a lot of the Victorian, really fancy traditional artwork in this build. It just would not fit. So I did repeat a few things, and I hope you guys don't mind. I didn't really, dive into the gallery to get custom artwork because, again, I actually kind of want to avoid that. The more I think about it, I really like it because it diversifies the artwork that you get in a build. But if you're just browsing the gallery and you didn't watch the video where I maybe talk about that, it's flagged as custom content in the gallery. So that's kind of unfortunate because what happens is if you don't have the check for include custom content, it won't even show up as an option for you to download. So I don't know. It just kind of stinks that that's flagged as custom content. So I didn't even do that here. So I just repeat artwork instead. And now we're moving on to the living room, which is a bit small. I think for a larger family, it would be a little bit difficult for them to all be in the living room and watch TV and stuff like that because there is only a 3-seater couch in there. It's a smaller living room than I was anticipating. I almost made the kitchen the living room at one point, but again, it was base game, so I really didn't know what I was going to fit in this little kind of like nook, in this little window nook here. So that is actually where the TV goes, and then there's that 3-seater couch. I believe there's a bookshelf and just a couple of other things. I didn't overcrowd this space because I was a bit nervous about there being any routing issues and things like that, but it ended up working out really nicely. I think for my gameplay, I added a toy box somewhere in the living room, maybe like the toddler blocks or something too. I don't know. I added a few different elements. I'm trying to diversify between the house I've been playing in where I added things versus what I built. And gosh, I'm about to spoil things when I'm saying toddler blocks or a toy chest. It's already out there. It's happening. But I did decorate this little console table near the window with just a few different things, and then I hung up some artwork, and that's about it for the living room. Like I said, there really isn't much. I think I do a small gallery wall leading up the stairs as well with various pieces of artwork, just because that wall was so blank, and I didn't think it would really fit to put another window there. One, it would likely clip to the stairs, which sometimes I don't really mind if it clips into stairs, but for this build, I kind of minded. I don't know. It just seemed like that could be a nice solid wall space on the other side on the porch too. So I didn't want to add another window or anything like that. I had some sconces here, again, just as decorations. I love doing that because it really kind of adds a little bit more decoration to a room without repeating artwork sometimes. And then I just put that room divider there, which honestly it serves no purpose, but I just thought it kind of looked nice. I also put a pile of toys down here, which unfortunately your Sims will end up trying to clean up. So they'll play with it. They'll likely put it in that toy box that I actually did include. And that's kind of a bummer. I kind of liked the idea of having a stack of toys just like in the corner of a living room. But it ends up working out, and then we move on to the upstairs. And again, there are 2 actual bedrooms that I furnished, and then the other 2 available rooms are an art studio and a study, and you could definitely change those if you wanted. But then I remembered that I forgot the bathroom downstairs. I completely skipped over it as I was getting all excited trying to figure out the furnishings in the other rooms. So I jumped back downstairs real quick just to make the bathroom, which does have a toilet and a shower, so it's not like you could bathe a toddler there, though I just mentioned in another video that you can bathe toddlers in the sinks now, which I haven't even tried yet. I don't know why I haven't done that. And then I also do this kind of like breezeway in the back, which just has some artwork, another console table, and I think just a few more decorations because that door leads to the porch and the backyard. So I thought it was really cute. I'm really surprised it's base game. That's where I'm at. Like some of the other builds I've done that are base game only, I'm like, yep, this is definitely base game. This was really tough. But then I looked at this one and I was like, I never would have guessed that this was base game. Like I was really surprised as to what I was able to make. But now we're moving on to the master bedroom, which is a bit of an awkward shape, but I think I made it work. I used this bed here, which has become one of my favorite base game beds recently. I do a couple of end tables, which I just turn and size down one because I still think they kind of worked. And I end up just putting some lamps there. I put some artwork on the walls, and then I use another one of those room dividers right there. And I think on the other side of it, I put the wardrobe and a stand-up mirror. Then there's just a chair in the corner because the door on the other side of the room divider leads to an office. And that's why I made it an office. If that was another bedroom, I thought it would be a little bit awkward that Sims would have to walk through the master bedroom to get to their bedroom. Like if it was a kid's room or something, you could, of course, alter the floor plan a little bit if you wanted to, but that's pretty much why I made it into an office basically off of the master bedroom. And then the other room though is completely separate. It's accessible through the hallway, so the art studio could easily be changed over to a bedroom if you wanted to. But the master bedroom is pretty much done, and we move on to the office, which is pretty standard. Of course, there's a desk and a computer, and then I kind of overlapped a few different bookcases to make a bit of a corner bookcase, but I thought it looked really nice, and there's also a love seat in there, so other Sims can kind of hang out. If someone else is on the computer doing research, they can talk or something. I don't really know. And in my gameplay, I locked this down for everyone in this house, because all they did was go to the computer because there weren't many other activities for them to do. So just a heads up. And then I work on the other bedroom here. This ends up being the kids' room. And I wasn't thinking if they had a daughter or a son, because as always, it does not matter whatsoever, but I think it's a really cute kids' room. It's not overly decorated for a kid, I don't think. There are a bunch of toys and clutter things on top of the wardrobe, but I basically didn't use the base game like kid furniture. I tried to make it really still fit in with the style of the home, but I did want there to, of course, be elements to show that it was a kid's room. I think they have a little like bear chair as well as a bookcase in here so they can go ahead and read books. And I think there's a toy chest. No, not a toy chest. I think there's a big, like the big teddy bear that they can play with. I tried to do the creativity table at one point, but I believe I pull it out because for my gameplay, I, of course, changed it up again. So now I'm just confusing myself. But I think it's a really cute room. I think it's definitely a room that you could easily change up as a kid gets older too. That was kind of my goals. I tried to limit the amount of things that you would have to, well, not have to, but that you might feel would need to be removed if this child were to age up into a teenager. There wouldn't be too many drastic changes. And then we end up moving on to the other full bathroom upstairs where there is a shower tub combo. And of course, toilet and sink, all the things your Sims need to go to the bathroom and get clean. That's where we're going to leave it. But they do have nicer countertops in this bathroom than they even have in the kitchen, which is a little bit odd. I used like these marble countertops from base game, but I thought it fit a little bit better color-wise and even style-wise to use them in here. And then I just put some flowers up here and a couple of different decoration items, nothing crazy whatsoever. And then we end up moving on to the art studio, and there are 2 easels in here, as well as some of the unlocked items from the painter career. So there's like I think it's like a canvas storage rack, and then there are some half-finished canvases kind of leaning against the wall here, which I really thought was pretty, as well as a little paint storage cart. And it's a really nice little space, which I did turn into a bedroom for my gameplay because it was necessary. And that is where I'll leave it. But we are actually very close to approaching the end of the build here. So I hope you guys did enjoy this base game only farmhouse. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you guys next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Queen of hearts, when everyone folds, your fork still holds your place in your bed, showing no regret. Close your eyes to hide your lies, roll the dice. You got me tiptoeing around you like you're made of glass. Got an invincible fence letting everyone know not to trespass, but you're bound to break down, bound to lose, get knocked right out of your boots when I use my witchcraft. You're playing it cool, bending all the rules, talking way too loud, and you're talking rude. You're playing a game got me tiptoeing around you like you made of glass. Got an invincible fence letting everyone know not to trespass. But you're bound to break down, bound to lose, bound to get knocked right out of your boots when I use my witchcraft. When I use my witchcraft. Come on. You got me tiptoeing around you like you're made of glass. Got an invincible fence letting everyone know not to trespass. But you're bound to break down, bound to lose, bound to get knocked right out of your boots when I use my witchcraft. When I use my witchcraft. I've got my moves, I've got my song. When I turn my mojo on, I'm feeling fine, I'm feeling strong. It won't take long when I use my witchcraft. When I use my witchcraft. Watch me use my witchcraft. I'm gonna use my witchcraft. You're playing your cards with your queen of hearts. When everyone folds, your fork still holds your place in your bed.